So we've had some fantastic fights over the last few weekends, and we were looking forward to a monster this weekend, and I really think that it was one of those that really sort of caught the imagination. They first fought 18 odd months ago, and that was fantastic, savage, brutal, real sort of fight of the year style fight. I'm talking of course about Kenny Anderson challenging George Groves for the British Super-Middleweight title. Now we're live, obviously, we don't pre-record it like other channels, and about 4.5 hours ago, we got a few rumours that maybe this fight might be in jeopardy. Then it started to get solid, and about 3 hours ago, I don't even think the statement's been put out yet officially, we did some fishing around and found out that the fight has been put off. George Groves has sustained an injury, and more on that a bit later, hopefully, and he's had to pull out of his defence against George Groves this weekend, and that means the entire undercard, including Steve O'Meara, Frank Buglioni, Billy Joe Saunders, Billy Morgan, and Jeff Thomas from Kenny Anderson's camp. It's all been pushed back. There's a couple of dates in April coming up. We'll see how we go. There's also one or two twists and turns. Now, I couldn't get hold of anybody from the George Groves or either George Groves or Adam Booth. I did speak to Adam Booth, and he said to me, look, Steve, we're looking at the medical situation at the moment. We're assessing the damage, but I can tell you, he said that both George and I are gutted. That's the official line from the Groves and Booth camp. But I did manage to speak earlier on. I had to do it earlier on to the man that's been shaping Kenny Anderson's revenge mission, and that's a man called Kevin Maree. And I started off by asking Kevin, who I like, he's a nice guy. I started off by asking Kevin when he found out that the fight was off.
I'd say about 2 hours ago now, Bunce. It's still very fresh, very raw. 2 hours, I'd say, is when we got the phone call to say that it was definitely off.
And have you been given any details about the injury?
No details about the injury at the moment. Everything's still very vague. That was the only news we got. I got a phone call off Steve Woods, who was he was distraught to tell me because he knew how much we were ready and how much we put into it. And he just said, I've got the worst possible news, I'm afraid, Kev. It is actually off. Groves is injured, and the whole bill has been pulled, which obviously was a double blow for us because we had Jeff Thomas on the undercard as well. So it was, telling the two lads tonight was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know Jeff Rowe's not very happy himself. How long had Kevin been in training camp for the fight? I mean, proper training camp, not signed for it. I mean, actually in a gym, locking himself away, preparing.
The day after Groves beat him last time.
Wow, it's that serious. It's there for him. How's Kenny taking it?
Well, we look at it this way, Stephen. We've been in worse positions than this. About a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, we were in a hotel in Glasgow, and we were due to fight Paul David, and Paul David pulled out less than 24 hours before the fight, and we were left with nothing. And in the position we're in now is a different one. We've got fabulous people helping us out. Kenny's done really well this year. He's had 3 big fights. And it's a letdown. These things happen in sport, but it won't stop us. We'll just get on with it now and carry on and do what we do best, which is being professional and train for the fight when it does happen. It's just a setback, Steve, and we've got to keep reminding the lads of that. They're not robots. They're going to get injured. Kenny could have got injured and had to pull out of the fight. So, all we'd say tonight is we wish Groves a speedy recovery. We want him back in that ring as soon as possible, and hopefully the fight will happen very, very soon.
Now, there's also the fact that today in Budapest there was a purse bid for the WBO Super-Middleweight title fight involving Robert Stieglitz, the champion, and George Groves, who's been elevated from number 3 to mandatory. It was won by a German company called SES. Now, I'm not sure what the time frame is for that, but I'm assuming the time frame for that would coincide with the time frame for your British title fight. Have you actually asked anybody about the details about who's going to come first and where you actually stand?
Well, this is where it sort of sits with us at the moment. If I think too deeply about that, obviously I'll probably get annoyed and Kenny will get annoyed. So we have to firmly keep in our minds that Groves is injured, and this has no bearing on the fact. The position that I'm in at the moment, two things are going to happen here. Either George Groves is genuinely injured, which I believe he is, and I hope he gets better quick, and the fight will happen soon. Groves isn't injured, and he's pulled out because of this Stiegler fight, then he has to face a backlash of the public for doing what he's done. I mean, there's other lads on the undercard there who aren't going to get paid. There's plane loads of people coming down from Scotland for the fight. We've got coaches coming from the gym going up to the fight. So for all these reasons, I don't believe that George Groves was pulled out for this fight. I believe he's genuinely injured, because surely no man would pull out of a fight for a reason other than being genuinely injured. That's the only way I can look at it, Steve, and get us all through it, and the disappointment tonight. Hopefully he'll be back fit and hopefully back soon, and the fight will eventually happen. The other fight, I'm praying doesn't come into it, because that would be... especially with all the talk about us being an easy fight and him going to be, dropping us in the second round and all the other things that we've been hearing. If we were such an easy fight and he was going to do such a number on Kenny, surely he would have taken the fight anyway and then taken the Stiegler fight. So he has to be injured. Yeah. So for those reasons, tonight I just wish him all the best and get well soon. Yeah,
we have to, George is injured. We're not quite sure what the injury is. There is medical proof of this, and I have to stress right now that there's no suggestion that he's not injured. He's injured. That's the official line. He's not pulled out because of a purse bid. And as I pointed out to various people online and on Twitter in the last 2 hours or so, the purse bid was not won by George's promoter. The purse bid was won by Stieglitz's promoter, a company called SES in Germany. So that slightly ruins the theory that George was pulled out to take that fight. Well, it remains to be seen.
It doesn't, because obviously that did happen, but a representative of Frank Warren's people was over in Hungary today, so obviously there was a bit of interest in the fight out there. There was somebody out there, representing Frank Warren's office there. I don't know what that is. So there's obviously an interest in that fight, and obviously we know now that Kessler pulled out of the other side of the draw, and that happened today as well, which obviously clears a lot of things up to make that fight a hell of a lot easier to happen. So I can see where people are coming from, because it does look very dodgy. If I look at it from a boxing trainer's point of view, all the hard work's done now, all the sparring's done. We're in the last week of training camp where we're just tapering off. Injuries don't tend to happen in this last few days. Everything's done now. We're sort of pretty much cotton wool status now. So I can see where people are coming from, and the conspiracy theories will be there, but everything will be revealed. And like I say, I believe he's injured and he'll come back and we'll get the fight soon. And if he's not injured, then it's him who's going to have the public backlash.
And there will be a backlash, just like there has been for Tyson Fury, once the darling of the public, and it seems to me getting an awful lot of stick for choosing not to fight David Price and move closer to a world title fight. So Kevin, just to sum it up, would Kenny be seeking a fight in the next 3 or 4 weeks if he finds out that he's not going to get Groves in the boxing ring for at least 2 or 3 months? Will you try and put him out somewhere, get him out somewhere?
I'll give you his mindset, Steve. He told me straight away to phone Eddie Hearn and tell him that he would box on Saturday for free, and to get him out as soon as possible. He just wants to fight, Steve. He's trained like I've never seen a man train in all the years I've been doing this now. He's trained frighteningly. He's in unbelievable shape, and he just wants to fight. He just wants to make progress now. Like I say, we're not holding anything against Groves as people. He's injured. We wish him all the best, and this isn't going to hold us back. We'll get our heads down, do what we do, and it'll be either Groves next, and if it's not Groves next, then it'll be somebody else, and eventually Kenny will get where we believe he's good enough to be, and that's right at the top.
Listen, Kevin, thanks very much for your time this evening. You've been honest, you've been straight, and I can hear the emotion in your voice. Pass my best on to Kenny and also to Jeff Rowe, of course, because he was meant to be on the bill. Kevin Maree, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Steve. Speak to you soon. Thank you.
That was Kevin Maree speaking to me slightly earlier. And just to clarify 1 or 2 things, today there was a purse bid for the WBO Super-Middleweight title fight between the champion, Robert Stieglitz. Now, he was meant to fight Mikael Kessler, but Kessler, it looks like he's lost his battle. Not with injury. Looks like he's lost the battle with the scales, and there's bold talk, brave talk, and I believe it, truthful talk about him moving up to light heavyweight. And what happened sometime in the last 48 hours is that George Groves was elevated from number 3 to number 1, the mandatory position. There was a purse bid today. We know that Dean Powell from Frank Warren's office went to Budapest this morning because he tweeted to let everybody know that he was off to Budapest for the WBO purse bid. So that raised a few eyebrows quite early this morning. I haven't been able to get hold of Dean. I think he's probably up in the air flying back from Budapest, as they say out in Hungary. So we know that Dean was there. However, Dean's bid that he put in on behalf, I'm assuming, of Frank Warren, but it could have also been for someone else, but I think it was indeed Frank Warren. That didn't win. It was the winning bid was from a company called SES in Germany, who promote Stieglitz. So we await to see that date. And I've just had a text from Kevin Maree, in fact, in the last 6 or 7 minutes, saying to me that George Groves has posted something on his Facebook page. I don't have the details of that. I couldn't get George on the phone this evening. It's all a bit dramatic, this, isn't it? It's like breaking news. George has posted something on his Facebook page saying that his next fight will be a WBO Super-Middleweight Championship fight. So there we go. That's all I can bring you. Sadly, this Friday's fight is off, and all of the guests I had lined up from that show, well, they're not, A, they're not fighting, and B, they're not in my studio. I've now been joined by Jack, who comes in every week to do my stuff, and so I've now got two people doing my emails. I've now got two people doing my emails and tweets, which, and it's quite simple. It's Bunce at boxnation.com, and the Twitter is really active tonight. That's at Big Daddy Bunce. Okay, now